Okay, let's continue to discuss this paper. The contingent role of conflict, deliberated interaction, and disagreement in shareholder engagement. It's not. Okay, and this study uses 169 real ESG engagement data between a major asset manager and the U.S. public firms during 2007 to 2012 to examine how conflict and disagreement affect progress. Other than that, they also examine why do some engagements succeed while others fail to progress. So today's goals, we will discuss this paper, explain why engagement fails more than why it succeeds. So today you will learn how shareholder engagement actually works behind closed door, and the paper's three-stage process model of dialogue, and you will learn why deliberation alone is not enough, and why disagreement help early but destroy late. And finally, you will learn how to apply this insight using real cases. You guys already present the second case. And other than that, we have many others which are really interesting and located in stage 2 and stage 3. Okay. So why this paper matters in 2025? Why this is an important issue that worthy to be examined and discussed in our class? You. Just one reason or your instance. Why this paper matter? Your group? Anyone can answer that. Hmm? You. Why this issue matters? Engagement related to ESG. And there have a three-stage model, right? And stage 2, stage 3. And if you have disagreement, what happens? If you have disagreement, the timing is so important. Why? Just say one thing. You. Just one word is okay. One sentence is okay. So, how did you prefer it? Okay. Okay, maybe you can answer later. But why this paper matters in 2025? because the issue and insight is more relevant today. Global anti-ESG pushback. Did you know we foster ESG, right? But some firms located in Texas, oil gasoline firms, they're actually against ESG. So these funds exiting the BlackRock, the big investment company, asset management company, they withdraw a lot of funds from institutional investor. So not foster ESG, they're anti-ESG. And stewardship teams shrinking. This is another organization problem. So recently, especially AI applied to everything. The organization, not just some company, shrinking in internal and external, including government, including private firms. You will see all these problems. And there have a higher political division increase, conflict in engagement. So if you are Democrat, if you are Republic, in Texas, actually Texas, most of the majority belong to Republic because the tax benefit to many small firms. So if you have some political diversion problems, actually increase the conflict in engagement also. And more greenwashing scandals. So every firm say, I match ESG standard. However, if we check the evidence and the numbers, the carbon emission, the water, the sources, and the recycle numbers, you will find out they are not doing so good like they announce and release to be done. So corporate responses increasingly sharply by AI, error risk. So like Meta, you guys already presented the case, the privacy, the algorithm bias, and the misinformation. So this is a social problem too. So everyone concerned about the privacy, and the social media release everything in public. How can you handle these ESG problems? So this focuses us to rethink, is the conflict a signal of progress or a sign of collapse? So in short, modern engagement has more tension. You have so many conflicts from your political role and from the organization team shrinking, and from many firms actually don't foster ESG and do not agree with that ESG because it's just burn money, spend capital expenditure a lot. So many different ideas around you. So in short, modern engagement has more tension. But tension could be good, and more politics and less capacities. So these issues matters now. So for example, the case in Texas, so we can see that the opposition, their public pension fund withdraw large amount from BlackRock because they believe that ESG is political bias. The ESG harms oil and the gasoline industry. And the ESG policy are against state economic interests. So not always complying with ESG target. Many sectors and located in different states have different idea and the rule. So this is quite important to discuss in this paper. So why conflict matters in ESG? So we can see that shareholders' engagement, because it drives ESG, especially active investor. So institutional investor, if the active is different from passive. So active investor influence the ESG governance practice. So engagement is quite important. However, conflict and the consensus dynamic are also very important. So tension between disagreement or collaboration actually shape engagement outcome. Don't, don't say that the conflict is not a good product. In Asia country, we say conflict is not good, so we are very quiet. But this causes problem in stage 3 model. So conflict and the consensus dynamic actually help foster the engagement to be a successful one. And another one is the importance of interaction. So deliberated dialogue and the voicing disagreement, the positive and the negative, are crucial for expected solution. So if we use the Chinese called deliberation, can anyone say one word? What does it really mean, deliberation? In Chinese, we have deliberation, and maybe we have voicing. One word, Chinese. Which word that really means deliberation? Because we use this word again and again, maybe 100 times in this paper. Can anyone answer this? Deliberation? Who is quiet today? Another group have no role today, but you have another job to answer questions. Li Chenyin, how to say deliberation in Chinese? Okay. Can be more specific. Yeah, that's like a 形容词. Okay. Yeah. 协商. Okay. Negotiate. But yeah, it's a part of a negotiate, right? Yeah. Any other terms? Deliberation? Huh? 理性讨论. Okay, it's the same group. Yeah, very good. And any other? Any others? Yeah, deliberation, everyone you say is in deliberation area. It's pretty much like, you know, I also think this term in Chinese. And I say, because stage 1, the two parties already meet in the meeting, right? So we cannot say that it's 绅士手里 only in that like. So something should be a conclusion in the meeting, but this belongs to deliberation stage. So I would say that it could be, you say something to me, just if I'm the firm, then I will say, okay, I will deliberate for this issue and so on. That means I would like to 审慎考虑. It's like that, because they need an answer. So if you have like a pollution, you accuse some things, and to talk to another party, they will say, okay, we have a deliberation stage 1. I will do something for deliberation. So deliberate dialogue means that I will 审慎考虑. But you do nothing. You just a commitment to be done something. So this is the paper three-stage model, but stage one, deliberation. Let's ask you, if you hear this paper again, shareholder engagement, what words will come to your mind? You don't need to say like a long sentence, just keyword. One keyword, two keywords, three keywords. Okay. So let me take a look at how did you feel this paper and what did you learn from this? If I ask you again, then you can remember the keyword to reflect the whole paper. Okay, so here, hello, 断线. You say the 断线. But you say 断线. Let me try it again. Okay, so can you guys type the keywords only? Let me also understand what you understand in this paper. Type the keywords only. Can be a few keywords. So far, we have communication, the top rank. So communication is pretty much smoothly along with deliberation continuously. So ESG on the corporate, okay. And the others probably allocated very equally. So this is the workaround that you can remember from this paper. Very interesting because the culture is different, you know. I did not see any of you saying the keywords like attention, like you say engagement, but I did not see, I only see one person type of disagreement, tension, or like a fear, or like a negative words. Pretty less belong to negative stage 3 wording. Okay, so this is interesting because tension actually happened starting from stage 2 to stage 3. You always had tension when the dialogue initiated. Okay, very nice workout that you guys can remember this paper. And we continue to take a look at the other one that without deeply understand, they were type of like greenwashing, accountability, and like a pressure. This is a tension, right? The conflict, this is a tension. A negotiation, you guys already mentioned pretty much these words, like a trust, and they have some risk, this as a pressure, and power. Different culture might have different instance remembrance on this paper. So this is another guys, another class that are saying this. Okay, so this is the workaround that you guys can remember more deeply, especially negotiation, ESG risk, and they have tension, pressure from institutional investor in the trust between the two party and the conflict. Okay. And the puzzle is 90% of engagement fail. Actually, very low percentage successful case. So the reason I can attribute to some of them, only 9% engagement reach full implementation. So this is why. The first reason is superficial compliance. Everyone listen, but without intention to act. So this happened always around your life. You listen, but you do nothing. And investor push too little or too late. So the timing is quite important. If something went wrong, push it instantly. Early stage could be have a high probability to succeed. Another one is ESG staff lack authority. They are only employee, couldn't have the high level to talk to the other party. So lack authority may also cause some weak results. And the conflicting incentive. So like a Texas oil firm, they focus on short-term earning. So they don't want to invest long-term ESG investment. So this is a trade-off. You want to earn in stock price and the community survival, then probably earnings were the first priority than the long-term ESG. So there have some potential conflicting around different parties. So the paper's argument is value is rooted in the interaction style. This is not the ESG topic, but firm's characteristic. Did you really compliance with the issue and really want to solve the problem and really implemented what you promised to do? So this is the firm's characteristic. So sometimes the firm's CFO, because it related to spending money, CFO probably need to participate the dialogue, and also the CEO implementation. So CFO, CEO, high level, rather than the staff, low level, without any use. So 3-stage model, establish dialogue, solution development, and the solution implementation. Implementation is the final stage. So stage 1, establish the dialogue. So both sides agree to meet. In the stage 2, we have some solution development. So option, data, problem, very, very clear. Alternative pathway considered. So this is the solution development. We already had the data, and we already exchanged the idea how to make it good, and the option explore. So the final stage is to have some action. So to implement it, the task. So company commit to action. Investor have to monitor whether they do or not. Then during this stage, the trust become crucial. So most engagement diet or fair quietly between stage 2 to stage 3. Because we have solution, but we did not implement. Because you do not monitor closely, or the company do not commit to have some action perfectly. Many other reasons that if you delay the time or without monitoring, a moral hazard happened during stage 3. Many moral hazard problems emerge. So this causes the reason why 9% of the cases are successful. Deliberation is a beautiful theory, but weak in practice. I will do something, 审慎考虑. So very beautiful theory, but very weak in practice. It's not enough. So deliberation means you, on the topic, listen respectfully, given reasons, acknowledging constraint, and only talk, willing to adjust. But the paper form, deliberation alone does not increase engagement progress. It not necessarily guarantee any good result in the future. Why? Too polite, without pressure. And also, the commitment sometimes very vague. Sounds good, but changing nothing. And company talk nice to delay action without tension. The trust is very superficial consensus. So deliberation without tension, it's equal to polite deadlock. So everyone have to notice that deliberation could happen everywhere, every time during your life, during some issue to be argued. But you just have to follow the tension on both sides, including the very specific action and the monitor it very closely after that. So stage 2 and the stage 3 model are very, very crucial. So disagreement as information, not hostility. So contrary to institution, early disagreement is actually productive. So don't think that disagreement is not good. It's good for the result, especially in early stage. This is productive because in the early stage, we have disagreement and we announce and release this agreement so we can feel the hidden risk, especially like supply chain abuses, and forces manager to clarify assumption. This is pressure and tension, and test the company's commitment. Because if I disagree, then I will test what you say. If you say something that you can compromise me, then that means you a commitment is quite strong and expose the blind spots and reduce greenwashing space. So disagreement could be equal to like a data. It reveals what polite dialogue hides. It is not dysfunction. So we have to accept that disagreement actually is productive in early stage. This is a very good timing to have disagreement during the dialogue. So hypothesis and finding find the same result. Hypothesis 1, deliberation may not cause to progress. It's not supported. But hypothesis 2, early stage disagreement, and we have a first stage deliberation that help progress. And this hypothesis was supported. But if this late disagreement, then the result might be opposite. Even you have a deliberation, but your disagreement is too late, is stage 3, then the case might be killed. It will kill the progress. So this is also supported. So engagement succeed only when disagreement arrive at the right moment, stage 2, not when both sides are polite. Polite itself doesn't guarantee any succeed in the future. So we need to have tension all the time in stage 2 and stage 3. We need to have the pressure during the dialogue all the time, implementation, monitoring the result. We have to have. So this is the hypothesis 3-stage model. And this is a case from the Starbucks. So Starbucks have many, many social controversy that you can Google to find a lot of different categories. But if I only focus on like injury, because the busy hours, you can see the employee quite busy, right? Do a lot of work without any rest, just one following another one, high peak hours. And this is a Starbucks employee. They protest for some reason. And we can take a look at the their issue. Early disagreement helps. Why? This is like a Starbucks labor safety injury. So workers flag the underreported injury because from the workers. An investor challenge the data. You have to improve, and company improve the disclosure and the employee training. So to solve this problem. So this is a stage 2, and Starbucks finally succeed. So the early conflict improve solution development because it increase the issue clarity, reduce moral hazard, generate more realistic plan, and service managerial blind spots create constructive pressure. So Starbucks could be a successful case for this dialogue because its disagreement happened in early stage, in stage 2. Late disagreement have the opposite results. So Meta, so you already present the case about the Facebook, about the privacy data release, and something just hurt the trust between the parties. So renegotiation again, and there have some power struggles and lack of a commitment. So this is a Meta's case because it's a late conflict, broken expectation. So this is something an investor believe the company agreed to oversight. Your privacy, your data, and your political point of view, then, but the Meta backtracked. So when the trust collapse, engagement fair. So late conflict actually is trust mismatch. So this is a very, very crucial in the timing. If you have a disagreement, you just have to talk in the second stage earlier. So this is the Meta's case I collected from the Google. You can ask the AI what's happening. There have a lot of controversy. So remember the Facebook stock price dropped a lot, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but now it rebounded again. So in early 2025, Meta rolled back several content moderation commitments, including ending the third-party fact-checking and loosen the restriction on harmful content. So social media actually is very complicated. You cannot release your private information in public. Never do that. One day you will know the consequences you never expected it to have. Why you have to release your privacy? If it is just very neutral, it's okay. But some information you don't have to share with someone that you're not familiar with. It's not necessary. It not create value for you. If you want to have a social network, go to LinkedIn. That's a professional linking. That you have a professional you recognize and familiar with something, some person that have the same field as you, same level, not the scattered, public. It doesn't create any value for you. Don't spend time on that. So, but Meta finally don't do the same thing as they promised to do. So this reversal investor to believe Meta was backtracking on its promises causing a significant breakdown in trust and engagement. Once your trust was destroyed, it may take a long time to recover and may not be able to back to the original point. So never hurt your reputation or trust in your life. It's very, very hard to recover. This is intangible assets, however, reputation, your trusting, your honesty. Intangible assets, which is your human capital, personality attribute. Don't hurt these intangible assets that God already gave it to you. You have to maintain it in an integrity way, very essential and ethical to maintain all the way to the point. So game theory interpretation, we can see that this paper doesn't use game theory, but it has the lens to explain everything, especially like stage 2. Game theory, chip talk, plus costly signal. We deliberate. That's a very, very costly, right? I deliberate something, I did not hurt anything. I did not spend 1 cent of my money, chip talk. But if something disagreement, costly signal, early disagreement, have to do instantly. If like a stage 3 in negotiation, well, come to failure. The distrust finally will collapse of the collaboration. So game theory, actually, the most important part is stage 2. If you come to stage 3, you will expect the result. 90% of engagement. If at this stage you cannot hold on, then you will see the final result. No matter how you compensate, it is too late. So engagement is a repeated again. Trust is the equilibrium group. If the trust between two parties destroyed, then it couldn't have an equilibrium during the dialogue. Stage 2, stage 3 never happened because I already don't trust you. Game is over. Come to game 3. It's meaningless because the result won't change. I did not trust you. It's the fact. It could not change. So if something happened negatively, you should let it be released earlier in stage 2. Come to stage 3. They have argument, they have something disappointed under your expectation. The result is expected collapse of cooperation. So trust is the equilibrium condition. People, people, party, party, community, community, country, country, right? So you can see country, country in our global world is the same thing. Nobody trusts anybody. Everyone using game theory to dealing with everything which is not belong to this field. So making the complex and the society getting more tension, and this distrust, actually, cooperation will not last longer, very short term. Everyone just short-term target. So another good case I pick is TSMC. This story can be found from Google too. This is a perfect stage 2 example. TSMC can be a model of Taiwanese industrial. It has a long story long path to go. Many times, the investor, the community, and the public accuse the TSMC water shortage. So investor question, how can you do risk disclosure during a severe drought? So the company initially defensive, but when the investor push it with evidence and data, TSMC adapt better water recycling and early reporting the results. So this is early disagreement have meaningful for operational improvement. This is a localized case. So we can see when the investor question their water-related concern, how do they do, and do they really do? Let's take a look at the case. The case was collected from Google too, but you can see that this is the link. I find that it really do something. TSMC water conservation guideline, they have the strategy. Focus on 4 aspects. Reduce water consumption. Increase water recycling, the second. And the third one is improve the water production rate and decrease the water discharge loss. So there are 4 dimensions that they has been doing. So save the water a lot of amounts. So they really have the action from stage 2 to stage 2. So never have stage 3. So this is a successful case from TSMC. So Starbucks also have a very good stage 2 result. When investors say your safety data undercounts the injury, how Starbucks answer? In the first beginning, we don't think that is so material, but provide data and company upgrade monitoring and plus employee training. So it resolved the conflict. So disagreement happened early in stage 2. So both sides provide reasons and trust increase, and the success result could be observed. So this is another good case, TSMC, Starbucks. But the negative case is Meta. Stage 3 value, because I just mentioned that the trust evaporated. So the investor interprets it as a betrayal. So if there have some conflict from stage 3, it's too late. It's like a toxin. So Meta's like resistance signal opportunism. So the opportunism means投机, right? So if you don't monitor, you don't say something, you don't follow me, you don't flash back, and I will pretend nothing happened. It's like that, opportunism. But investors following that, monitor that, accuse that continuously to implement it to the end, pushing the Meta have to do something to correct something. So Meta finally refrained the commitment of what we already do, and but it's too late. So this is related to the trust. So what models are omitted? This is from my criticism. I think the models 1, 2, 3 is quite good, but something should be considered in a model, especially like a cultural differences. Because, you know, in America, in Western style, You say disagreement, that's, you can say something. You can ask something from the class, but you will not worry about that. Your teacher will not be happy with that. But in Western culture, they don't care about that. Disagreement, I say something very straightforward. And in the class, I have just open dialogue. Everyone can ask something. Why do you have so much concern? So cultural difference might be considered because it's happened in MEDAS class and TSMC. It's different culture might have different responses. And the power asymmetric is related to like a large firm usually ignore investors. Yeah, so if you're a small firm, you will respond and being monitored. So the investor, institutional investor also have the different attitude to different investor, different firms. A large firm simply just ignore, but small firms simply just compliance investor. And also there have some investor incentive can be considered in the model. And also there is asymmetric information in AI Europe. So companies have private data and also have an algorithm. But investors only rely on voluntary disclosure, especially like ESG. Many firms don't disclose their ESG performances. But one thing you have to know, if I have very good performance, why do I not to disclose? So if they choose not to disclose, that means it's a negative result, or they have no data. So choose not to disclose the ESG data means you don't have it, or your results are extremely negative to hurt your stock price or firm's image. So this is quite straightforward. So we have asymmetric information. Only like 20% of the firms have ESG data being released in the public. If you are eager to collect data using survey, but it's not quantitative data. But if you have quantitative data, it's relying on voluntary disclosure. So some data vendor now completely to recover those missing data, but I checked the database, is not exist like 30%. Under 30% firms really disclose correct and the validated data. So how CFO and investor manipulate engagement? So there have a different tactic from investor and the corporate. So CFO is quite important. The same important is CEO. When you dealing with something, decision making, that might spend money. So you want to compromise ESG, you have to burn money. So CFO's role is very important. And mapping our 4 questions, you can have a much stronger understanding about the long-term value and short-term target between investor and the firms. And we can continue to have 3 takeaways. Engagement is relational, not transactional, the first. So whether the case could be a successful one depending on the interaction quality, not ESG topic. Conflict is not the enemy, timing is. So early disagreement is constructive, but late disagreement is destructive. So the third takeaway is trust. I mentioned these terms many times. Trust, reputation, intangible assets, your honesty, your personality for men, but the reputation for the firms, human resources, human capital. So once the trust breaks in stage 3, polite dialogue cannot save the process. So engagement is a process, not an event. So during 3 stage, we have to make more efforts on stage 2 rather than the final stage. So final questions, 2 questions, and I will let you go. So what determines whether a conflict is productive or destructive? You can use in multiple choice to let me know a single choice to let me know whether you really understand is productive or destructive.跑不出来。What? Oh my gosh. 没有网路了吗？现在有没有网路 ？Oh my gosh，网路，来弄一下。One moment，网路看一下，连一下。天哪！去 CYCU 连一下。One moment. Let's come to 有连到，但是你要 action 到你的账号去。Give me one moment. We don't have internet. What? 没有网络。Can you take a look at it? Whether Can you see that? Single choice. I don't know what's wrong. It doesn't work. I don't know how to make it. But can you see the screen completely? Okay. Because I don't know. It's just not working. Okay, so 8. I will wait for 1 second. So productive and destructive. Okay, you guys have the correct answer. It's the timing of a disagreement. Stage 2. Okay, very good. And then come to the next one. What happened? We have another questions here. Okay, can you see this one? The main reason. I cannot move it out. So there's something block the screen. Okay, so you guys have the very good and the correct answers. This is a trust breaks when conflict arises in the late stage, stage 3. So very good, and I think we have a very good discussion, and you guys have a very good presentation too. Okay, so yeah, because my screen seems. Okay, so our class will end here. Thank you very much for your participation today. If you have any further questions, just let me know. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.